Hi everyone, it's Penny. I am an astrologer and a huge martial arts enthusiast, so I like to combine the two. The style of martial arts that you train in is decided by your own free will, but your natural fighting style and your natural sort of animal instincts is shown in your natal chart by your Mars sign and its aspects. Now, this is different from your sun sign, which is the sign most people know about. It's determined by the month you were born in, but your Mars sign will need to be calculated based on the specific day and year that you were born. So check the description below and I'll list some websites that'll help you find out what sign your Mars is in. Now, I'm not going to address aspects or houses in this video, even though those do play a factor, but if you would like to have a personal reading done, I can tell you a little bit more about that. But for now, let's get going with the 12 signs. Now, Mars in the fire sign of Aries, these make for some very aggressive fighters. Some examples of this are Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor. They see it when they fight someone that there's a simple problem, and to that simple problem, there's a simple solution. The problem is you are standing and they don't want you to be able to stand, so they will fix it. They don't waste any time in fights. They don't spend a lot of time trying to get to know their opponent. They see an opportunity and they go right into it. They are bold and they are fearless when it comes to fighting another person. People with Mars in the earth sign Taurus have fighting down to a beautiful art. Examples of this are Canelo, Alvarez, and Namajunas. These people have the most pure power. They hit hard as fuck and they make for great boxers. They're also capable of being very patient, so they know just when to hit and use their full power. Now, Mars in Gemini fighters. Gemini is an air sign, so these are intellectual fighters. Some examples of this are Mike Tyson and Fabricio Werdum. Now, they're quick with their hands. They tend to almost kind of mirror their opponent, so there's a lot of simultaneous striking going on in their fights. And a lot of times it's difficult to figure out what actually happened. I mean, for the person fighting them, they certainly know when they get hit, but Mars and Gemini fighters tend to throw a lot of wild strikes that don't even hit, but then there's always something else coming up underneath or around the corner. Aside from those wild strikes, they are good at faking. A lot of times it's even just like a fake little flinch, like they act like they're about to hit, but they don't really do it. And they love to taunt their opponents, even if they're friends or on good, respectful terms with their opponent, whether it's friendly or malicious. They like to tease people. Now, Mars in Cancer, a water sign, these are emotional fighters, and usually their fuel for fighting and their reason for getting into it has something to do with something that happened in their childhood. That's what they were inspired from. Some examples of this are Diego Brandao and Danny Castillo. They fight with their full body, regardless of what their martial arts style is. They like to throw their entire weight onto their opponent. They will literally land on you, whether it's with their takedowns or their high jumping knees. Rawr! Mars in the fire sign Leo. Two examples of this are Holly Holm and John Jones. They are aggressive fighters. They really like living the athlete lifestyle. They like to be able to do things that not a lot of people frequently execute, things that are a little bit more impressive and surprising to see on screen. They're super fierce and they use lots of fancy striking. Mars in Virgo, the earth sign. These are some very artistic fighters. A couple examples of this are Quentin Rampage Jackson and Tisha the Tiny Tornado Taurus. They're very technical in their skill. You can tell that they practice the little motions and the tiny details of what it takes to actually get something to work properly. They're precise in their striking. Once they get a hit off, you can tell that they planned where exactly they wanted to hit their opponent. It wasn't just an accident or a coincidence or some random place. they want to make sure they hit in the places that'll really do some damage. They have a lot of discipline and they're very focused. Now Mars in Libra, the air sign that is all about balance. These are some intellectual fighters. Some examples of this are Rumble Johnson and Alpha Cat Zingano. I love Cat Zingano. They like to execute a lot of level changes, whether it be going in for a takedown, ducking underneath punches, or sometimes it's just bouncing, so their head goes up and down. They're also really good at using angles to their advantage and switching into a different position. What's funny about them is they tend to actually go pretty easy on people, but they'll only fight you as hard as you fight them. And once their opponent ups the level, or once their opponent does something to piss them off or make them remember that they had something in their life that they were mad about, that they've been passive aggressive about for the past 10 years, then that's when they'll become a lot more violent. And if they decide they don't like you or they feel disrespected in some way, they'll become a lot more vengeful and you'll see a lot more come out when they're fighting. Mars in Scorpio, another water sign. These are some very passionate and emotional fighters. Two examples are Kelvin Gastelum and Sarah McMahon. Now, they tend to throw the same strike over and over again, and it's kind of funny because it's actually like a scorpion with its stinger, like just stinging. They play the long game. They like to slowly bring down their enemy. It might be a hit to the eye early on in the fight, and then that eye starts to swell, and it gets harder for their opponent to fight over time. You know, they go for the shots that will slow their opponent down. They're good at using their opponent's weight against them and getting on top of them, clinging on, and they'll hold you down and they'll just get you over and over and over again. Really, that's basically exactly the way a scorpion fights. Mars in the fire sign, Sagittarius. These are some aggressive fighters. They like to keep things moving. They kind of fight like they have anxiety, actually, which is kind of funny. Some examples of this are TJ Dillashaw and Alexis Davis. So they keep things constantly moving. They don't want to let the fight slow down. They're risk takers. They charge in if there's nothing else going on. They have excellent evasion. And it's difficult to get them in a tough situation because they tend to just pull themselves out of it really quickly. Mars in the earth sign, Capricorn. These fighters are artistic in a way that I feel like their fights say something about life. Some examples of this are Jose Aldo and Miesha Tate. They tend to get themselves into some very difficult situations in fights, but they find ways to overcome them. They have amazing defense skills. They are tough as hell, and they will push through whatever pain they have to endure in order to keep going and keep fighting, even when they are badly injured. Mars in the air sign, Aquarius. Now, these are some odd intellectual fighters. Two examples of this are Andrei Arlovsky and Rin Nakai. I miss Rin Nakai. She's so cute. Now, they are good at eliminating variables. They will make it so their opponent doesn't have a whole lot of options. They like to lock down the arms, and they like to use the cage a lot in their fights, like putting their back to their cage. Ah! So outside of competitive fighting, this would be translated as being good at using your surroundings. And they like to find ways to immobilize their opponent. They don't really give a shit about what's fair. They do care about the rules though, if and when they actually agreed to a set of rules. They're considered to be unorthodox, but basically anyone with a lot of Aquarius in their chart will be like, what does unorthodox even mean? Well, that would mean that you're unorthodox. Mars in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, a water sign. These are emotional, intuitive fighters. Two examples are Anderson Silva and Amanda Nunes. Now, they are very, very fluid. Their fighting style completely just makes me think of water. Like sometimes you know, you put in a little bit of energy and they just come flowing back like a waterfall of movement. They're naturals at using momentum and the other person's actions to their advantage. They don't do as much blocking as they do just moving their head out of the way. That comes more naturally to them. They probably are the most adaptable fighters because what they do is based a lot on reacting. Like if someone is coming in with strikes, they move a little bit out of the way and they start striking more, like a river dam collapsing. Now, no Mars sign is inherently good or bad. It's a matter of how you use it. I think it's important to remember that what works for you might not be what works for every other person. Everyone has their own natural strengths and natural instincts. So if you ever have a style that doesn't quite click with you, you find you do better when you dodge rather than block, or you have a certain way that you like to do your striking, then I think it's important to be mindful of that and go on your own path. Anyway, I will be doing more UFC videos, and of course I am always practicing martial arts, so maybe I'll show you guys a little bit more of that in the future. So like, subscribe, share. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.